Hey guys, so you may have just seen my top 10 best films of 2015 video. Now all that positive energy is slowly going to go away for this video temporarily. Don't worry, I'm going to try to keep things as positive as I can for all these 2016 films coming out soon. But let's just take this video to talk about some of the worst films of 2015. For these films to count, they have to be films that I've actually seen. They have to be films that were films that either I had a lot of negativity with while I reviewed them. So basically, long story short, they have to be films that I've seen. So obviously, we've had some really bad films throughout 2015, and obviously, some of those movies aren't even going to be brought up just because I just wasn't daring enough to go see those really awful movies. So these are just 10 films that I've seen throughout the 2015 year that either I was hoping were really going to be good, that either the hype for or the negativity for were either going to be better or worse or whatever have you. But these were films that I was hoping for in some way were going to be good while about to go see them, and well, they did not turn out to be that good. So let's start at number 10. So with this list, unlike my top 10 list, where the list got better as we go along, in this list, if you're a director watching this video, it's actually better that your film is lower on the list, because the more deeper we go into this video, the more I hate those certain films. So that just a heads up of how this video is going to work. So we're going to start at number 10, which is Aloha by Cameron Crowe. I was really hoping this was going to be good. We haven't seen a good film from Cameron Crowe in a while. Really good director. He's worked on Jerry Maguire and Say Anything and all these really huge movies. And unfortunately, Aloha just really was not that good. To put it simply, Cameron Crowe could not make up his mind what the film was about. It was about putting a satellite back in space. It was about a military soldier falling in love with another one. It's about, people realizing their past mistakes and how their past flaws and past relationships can hurt them. That part was a little interesting, but for the most part, Aloha just did not work. There was just so many things about it where the tone was just all over the place. There was wasted cast members in it. Most of my memories of seeing that movie were negative, to be honest. I mean, I was really hoping it was going to be a fun time in Hawaii for this movie, and unfortunately, Cameron Crowe just did not give us that movie. So Aloha makes it in at number 10. At number 9, we have the new Brad Bird film, Tomorrowland. This is actually a film I was hoping that was going to make it to my top 10 going into this movie. And well, Brad Bird did not give us that movie. He gave us a film that was about 2 hours of setup and about 10 minutes of adventure. And man, this movie was not that good. It wasn't completely horrible, because it is number 9 on the list. It's not number 1 on the list. But I think my biggest thing with Tomorrowland was he had such a big canvas to work on. Brad Bird is such an amazing director. Tomorrowland, it's a part of Disney World. It's a part where you can almost do almost anything in a movie. You could do something original. You could do something different. You could do something unique. You have, like I said, the campus is so wide for a movie like this just because, it's basically just a theme park portion of Disneyland, and that gives you a chance as a director to be really creative, make something that's really refreshing and new. And Tomorrowland ended up becoming a film that was just set up and 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 set up. And oh, here's I don't know, here's 10 minutes of adventure. Brad Bird, you didn't do your job with this movie. The Tomorrowland makes it at number 9 on my list. Very disappointing movie. At number 8, we have 50 Shades of Grey. This shouldn't shock anybody because a lot of people didn't like that movie. Some are even going to be shocked that I have it, I'm being this nice on it. I'm not putting it number 1 or number 2 on the list. My thing with 50 Shades of Grey was, and I guess let's start why it's actually on my worst films of 2015 list, is the film never made a point as to why this girl kept going back to this guy. I mean, she didn't like being around him. He was a jerk. He kept hurting her. He didn't even want to be in love with her. He just was hitting her with all these random things he had in this weapon room, and you have no clue as the viewer, why does she keep going back? And it just drives you nuts. And, we really care about this character. Dakota Johnson actually did a pretty good job portraying this character. She kind of had a personality a little bit. She actually felt normal at times. And it's just like, why are you going back to this guy? You want a relationship. If you really want one that bad, this guy said it right away. He does not fall in love with women. He likes to take them to his torture room. So as you can see, this film kind of bothers me a little bit. So 50 Shades of Grey makes it in at number 8. At number seven, we have a film that actually kind of a lot of people seem to like, at least in the indie market. But me personally, I thought this film was a complete waste of time. At number seven, we have Z for Zachariah. This is a new film that starred Chris Pine, Chiwetel Ejiofor, if I pronounce his name right, and Margot Robbie. It's like a post-apocalyptic film where there's like three people left on Earth, and there just so happens to be a love triangle. Surprise! And it's just all these random nature shots, and it it really didn't do anything. It really just like, oh hey, let's fall in love. Oh hey, let's build a church. Oh hey, let's walk around this random field. Oh hey, let's see if there's food at the grocery store that's still left. There probably isn't, but let's just go there anyway. It felt like that kind of movie, and well, I didn't like it that much. I need something that actually happens in a movie, and well, Z for Zachariah tried to avoid that as much as it could. So that makes it in at number seven on my list. At number six, we have Jupiter Ascending. Eddie Redmayne gave a terrible performance in this movie, and he just got off of Theory of Everything while going into that movie. And I just could not understand why he had such a terrible performance with this guy that had respiratory problems, and it made no sense. So I don't know why he did that. Just the adventure itself was not that good. The more the Wachowskis make more movies, the less and less I think they're getting away from their Matrix fame that made them famous to begin with. I really hope the Wachowskis have another great film at some point in the future. Jupiter Ascending gives me little hope for that, so it makes it at number six. Jupiter Ascending was really not that good. At number five, we have a film that a lot of people seem to love, and I seem to be the only random person that really didn't think it was that good. And that's at number five, we have Furious 7. I like James Wan a lot. I like what the Fast and Furious franchise did with Fast 5 and Fast and Furious 6. I thought those were refreshing takes on heist films and just refreshing takes on this genre. I thought that was definitely a good direction to take Fast and Furious in. I wasn't a huge fan of even the first four movies. But then, we get to Furious 7, and James Wan gets the script, and it just felt like a live action cartoon. It just did not feel right. It didn't feel like a good fit for Fast and Furious. I know people are like, oh, well, you have to leave your brain at the door while watching this movie, but do we really have to? I mean, look at Fast 5. It's such a great heist film. I care about those characters. Some of those stunts are done so well that they really look like real people doing real things. Fast and Furious 6 is just a great guilty pleasure. We get to Furious 7, and just all form of logic is just thrown out the window. And I know they had Paul Walker died during the making of this movie. I know there's all these excuses. Oh, well, they had to do this, they had to do this, they had to do this, they had to do this. But really, I mean, you're given millions of dollars to make this terrific Fast and Furious movie, and you're just being lazy. They're just being lazy, and I can't support a movie that's being lazy. I want something that really tries to be something interesting and unique and refreshing and original, and Furious 7 just didn't become that movie, so I'm putting it at number 5 on my list. At number 4, we have Terminator Genisys. This is the fifth Terminator film, and man, was this film awful. I hated this movie. It's such a middle finger to James Cameron. That franchise really needed to disappear once James Cameron said no to future sequels, because man, we're at the fifth installment of this franchise, and it is just not good to where they're taking it. The film is interfering with what 1 and 2 did in the franchise that made those films so great. It completely erased the timelines of those movies. It just really was not that good. Another thing about this movie I didn't get is, why is this movie PG-13? The first two Terminator films are rated R. They're violent. They're supposed to be violent. The film even is called Terminator. They're supposed to be fun, which this film was clearly not. Whatever reasons besides money why Terminator 5 Genisys was made, clearly it was a cash grab, because I felt like there was no form of creativity involved in this movie, so really didn't like it that much. Terminator Genisys makes it at number 4 on my list. At number 3, we have the film Home, another film I really did not like in 2015. Really unoriginal, unfunny. The kids that I saw in the theater when I was watching this movie, who were watching this movie with me, were all bored. All of them looked like they wanted to go home about 15 minutes into the movie. It just was not funny. They couldn't even decide if Rihanna's character was a kid or a teenager in it, because she can drive like a teenager, but she draws in coloring books like a kid. She plays with small toys like a kid. It's Rihanna, so clearly this isn't a child actor voicing a child character. The film was just so indecisive of what it wanted, and it just was not funny. And when you make a comedy that's not funny, you failed, my friend. You made a terrible movie that was just not funny. It just did not work. Home makes it in at number 3 on my list. At number 2, we have a film that a lot of people hated, and I can see why, because I hated this movie too, and that's the reboot of Fantastic Four. This film was so terrible. Every CGI shot in this movie was so unconvincing and so low budget and so terribly done. Almost every character in this movie felt like the actor or actors playing them did not want to be there on the day of the set. That it felt like it really felt like nobody wanted to make this movie, to be honest. It really felt like, oh, I guess you wanted us to reboot Fantastic Four, right? Well, who wants to do it? Josh Trank's like, I'll do it. I'll be drunk on the set. I won't care what I do any day on the set, but I'll do it. And as a result, well, we got this atrocious film with atrocious CGI, and it just... I never want to see that film again. It was just terrible. Fantastic Four makes it at number 2 on my list. At number 1, my least favorite film of 2015, and for those who saw my review, you know I really did not like this movie, and that's Pan. This film had no reason to be... Really, let's be honest here. This film had no reason to be terrible, and it was. Pan was directed by Joe Wright, who worked on Atonement and The Soloist. You know, he's clearly a talented director, but he's not very talented in this movie. The storyline could not make up its mind of which genre it wanted to be in. Like, oh, it's Peter Pan. It has to be fantasy, right? Well, there's war scenes. There's romance scenes. There's fantasy scenes. There's pirate scenes. There's adventure scenes. There's drama scenes. What is this movie that doesn't even know what genre it's in? It's just like, would it be so awful to just care? To just make up your mind of what Peter Pan movie you want? I mean, Captain Hook doesn't even have a hook on his hand. Really? It's called Captain Hook. That's his nickname. He calls himself Hook. Give him a hook for a hand, please. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. This movie sucked. It was terrible. Hugh Jackman, what were you doing in this awful film? You went bald for like a year just to be in this movie. Why? Why? It sucked. And so, sorry about my little fan rant, you guys, but these films I did not like. Don't see any of these 10 films I talked about here. They all suck. 2015 had some really bad movies. As you can tell, Pan was really not a good one. So let's get things a little bit more positive for our next review. Hopefully my next movie review is going to be more positive than this video. So that was my worst films of 2015. If you want to see a more positive video, I just posted my top 10 best films of 2015 list. So I hope you guys like that video. I got to get out of here because I don't want to think about these terrible films anymore. So hope you guys like this video, and I will see you here for the next video.